Basin is a place where we can have all the natural wonders, natural resources of Missouri can be on display. And to restore Alligator Gar to the system so that people come here and they can see an alligator gar, because it's a national wildlife refuge, and it's where people can come and enjoy wildlife that's being restored or conserved for all of Missourians.
We were stocking alligator gar as part of a reintroduction project that we started back in 2007. We started the project with Mingo National Wildlife Refuge, worked with the biologists over there, and we felt like it was a good thing to do for the ecosystem. We also wanted to study them and look at their movement patterns over the next few years. Alligator gar have been here since the time of the dinosaurs. They've endured change all throughout that time, and they have remained prevalent within the system. But for the first time throughout all our history, these populations are starting to reduce. And that's really due to our habitat and what we've done to our river systems. We, as humans, we consider the Mississippi River or any river system just a channel, and it's totally untrue. We need to broaden our scope and broaden our view in the way that we see river systems. It's not just the river channel, it's the floodplain. It's the wetlands that accompany that river system that help cleanse that water.
Fisheries folks have really done an excellent job of understanding those community relationships, those fisheries community relationships, and know that this is an organism that needs to be restored to the Mingo Basin.
Back in the 1930s, when they started draining a lot of southeast Missouri, they started running across a lot of these alligator gars on various river systems, on the St. Francis River, the Castor River, and on the Mississippi River, and the floodplains that were connected to those rivers. They typically would reach over 200 pounds. Some even heard stories of fish over 300 pounds. We're talking about 7 to 8 feet long fish, foot-long fish. And these fish were very common in southeast Missouri at one time. A lot of people felt like alligator gar were harming bass and sport fish populations. And when I say sport fish, I'm talking about catfish, I'm talking about largemouth bass, I'm talking about bluegill. And we don't believe that was true. First alligator gar that we stocked in Mingo, we put radio transmitters on them to see where these fish go, if we can recapture them. We even, in some of our fish, we pumped their stomachs to see what they were eating. And just like we believe, they're not eating sport fish. They were eating worms, invertebrates, shad, buffalo, small buffalo. They do eat some sunfish. And they have a high tendency to scavenge. Like to eat on dead things, anything dead. The first goal, by far, was to study these fish. The second thing was we wanted to restore a native species to his native habitat. That's where he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be there functioning within that ecosystem, helping those other fish communities. So we wanted to restore a native species. The other was biodiversity. When we look at habitats and we evaluate whether they're healthy or not healthy, the one common thing that we usually look at is biodiversity. How many organisms live in this one piece of habitat? And we wanted to improve that biodiversity. And we want to discover those interrelationships that exist between alligator gar and those sport fish so that we can gain more insight into how they really help those fish populations. And the last thing, and it is the last in my book, hey, this could turn into a trophy fishery. And that's pretty awesome when you think about it being, a 200-pound fish, 6 feet long, anglers being able to go in a refuge and literally feel like, wow, I am back in the early 1900s just by the surrounding, the habitat. You can't hear any cars. Totally foreign as to what we know what the rest of southeast Missouri looks like. But not only while they're back there will they be able to experience those wonderful views, they'll be able to experience catching a 200-pound alligator gar that used to reside there too.